Hey, what's up everybody? Wes here with Consumers Authority. Thanks for tuning in for another video. Those of you that are subscribed know that we do just a little bit of everything on this channel, and today is no different. Today I'm installing this 29-gallon freshwater aquarium at my house. This is something that I've wanted for a long time, and it actually takes quite a bit of work just to get to this point. It may look a little cloudy right now, but it's actually in the cycling process. So you're not able just to throw fish in tanks immediately like I used to think. But in this video, I'm gonna do my best to keep it moving, keep everything power packed for you. And I'm gonna come back later with a part 2 on it. I'm also gonna be coming back with some mini videos to kind of explain further some of the details that we're gonna gloss over today. But this is gonna give you a very good reference just to get yourself started if you're new to the hobby. So after you've done your research and you know what size tank you're gonna go for, it's time to go tank shopping. You wanna look at each one and inspect the craftsmanship, mainly the sealant here in the corners and along the bottom to make sure that it's in good shape and to make sure that it's gonna hold water. Now, you're still gonna have to test fill them when you get them to the house, but this is just a good first check. And one thing I noticed here is you can look and see different assemblers on different tanks. These happen to be made by Aquarium and we're at Petco, and you can see two different people have assembled these side-by-side tanks. So there's a chance that maybe the two different assemblers have two different qualities of work. And the main thing that you're going to want to be thinking about while you're tank shopping is the type of fish that you plan to have in it. Some fish get quite a bit bigger, some stay small, some have to be in smaller groups, some like larger groups. So definitely plan that out. Ultimately, you're going to do freshwater or saltwater, then pick out your type of fish, see how many of that fish you need to have, and pick your tank size accordingly. You're also going to be looking at decor, figure out the types of pieces that you want to have in your tank, have those picked out ahead of time. That way you can help make the proper choice. So here's the 29-gallon Aquarium glass aquarium that I made at home with. The dimensions are on the sticker as well on the website in case you need to look in advance. They also had some rebates offered here. Looks like you can save some money. They threw in some flakes and some water conditioner, but we're going to be buying all new chemicals anyways, and I'll show you those later. So here's our tank. It's time to go ahead and get started. So one thing that you might want to consider, just because it's hard to install later, is a background for your tank. I started off with this vinyl cling, but I really didn't like the turnout on it. So what I did, I went ahead and just got some Krylon Color Max and physically painted the tank. I taped it off, did the edges, I got a roller and got everything rolled on there. Did a few different coats. So if you do want to color on your tank and you're okay with going ahead and making a permanent color commitment, I definitely recommend this as a solid choice. It turned out great. I don't have to worry about any kind of air bubbles, anything like that. It turned out fantastic, and now we have a perfectly black background that's going to highlight the decor, the fish, as well as the live plants. So now we want to make sure that everything's level. I've got a bubble level here that I'm going to go ahead and put on the tank top in several different positions just to make sure that when we fill it full of water, the water's not sitting in there lopsided, applying pressure on the glass unevenly. It turns out I need a little bit of clearance on the front. I need to bring the front up slightly. So I just cut these cardboard boxes, folded them in half, and shimmed it up just enough to where I went back with the level, everything read accurately. Now that we've got our level tank on the stand, it's time to clean the glass, and they've got this solution from API. It's safe for the inside of the tank as well as the outside, something that Windex is not. So you want to go ahead and make sure everything's as clean as possible. That way when you do get water in your tank, it looks super clear. Pay special attention to the inside and be careful with the corners. You don't want to rub the sealant too hard. Also make sure you hit the bottom. So just by doing the inside of the tank, I got quite a bit of grime, and that's going to make it that much cleaner. So another item that you're going to want to do a lot of research on is what type of filtration you want for your tank. I wound up selecting this Tidal 35. It's a aquarium power filter, and you can put different kinds of media in there. I saw some different videos on it. It looked like it was a solid choice. I really had ruled out hang on the back filters. Initially, I was going to go with a sponge filter, but they have canisters, sponges, hang on backs, all kinds of different filtration that you're going to want to look into. This is one of those things you can spend some time researching very easily. But here's the unit itself. It's got a cord management system here that allows it to go around the tank. You just plug the motor in and then fill everything up to the water line. Once it slips over the tank, there's a blue tab here that allows you to secure it to the glass so that it doesn't wobble. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing hung around the back here. It's very close to the wall, so this is definitely something you want to do before you add water to make sure you have proper clearances. It will vibrate slightly, so you don't want it vibrating up against the wall. We've got our blue tab here that we're going to use to secure to the back of the glass. And it looks like I've got a little too tight, so this is the point where you want to shimmy the tank right where you want it. Make sure your cabinet's exactly where you want it, because once you add water, it's going to be very difficult to move. And here's my large centerpiece for the decor. This is actually going to be arguably too big for the tank, but to me it's a perfect size. I've also picked up a couple of different Tetra Whisper air pumps that I'm going to be using to run an air stone. I just bought them on Amazon to try out, see which one works best, and I'll probably return the other one. But here's the size difference. They even make a larger and a smaller model. So if you're going to run an air stone or anything like that, you'll want an air pump. So next thing we're going to do is fill up the water, at least above the rim, while we get our substrate washed and while we wash our decor. So you want to fill it up at least this high, that way we can check for leaks, make sure that the tank is going to be good to go. This is also something that you probably could have done before you painted the background, just to make sure that you didn't have any issues, because it would be quite a bit more difficult to return this tank had it leaked after I've already painted the black background. So while we're giving our tank time to leak check, we'll go ahead and bring our decor outside, give it a good wash down. You can use mild soapy water, but definitely make sure it's completely rinsed. Anything that you're going to put in the tank, you're going to want to make sure it is completely clean beforehand. So the next step is washing your substrate, and this is super important whether you do gravel, sand, or any kind of stones. This is going to keep your tank from being super hazy. If you were just to dump this right in there, it would be super cloudy. And this goes with any color, but this is a perfect time for you to be picking out your substrate and know what type you want to use in advance. Once you have your substrate ready, what I did was just take a strainer and then an old bucket. So we're just gonna basically put the rocks into the strainer, spray water over it, and kind of filter it out. Another thing I did was get a clean bucket, and that way I could put the clean gravel in there, and a water source, of course. And something I might do also is come back with a more in-depth video on this, because this is a very crucial step. This is something that you're definitely not gonna wanna skip. Now, I'm sure there's lots of different methods to washing your substrate. Gravel is relatively straightforward. You just give it a good rinse, take your strainer and toss it around, kind of agitate it a little bit, let some of the smaller particles fall at the bottom, and then give it another rinse. This is also a great time to be picking out any irregular stones that you find. Just toss them aside. Anything that's discolored or just doesn't match the rest of the substrate, you can go ahead and pull those out. Once your first batch is clean, just dump it into your clean bucket, and then you can go ahead and keep moving along. And you can see here how much cloudiness and small pebbles came out of that one batch. And I also recommend cleaning out your colander at each time. That way the larger pebbles don't clog it up. And once you've got your clean bucket, I'll add some more clean water to it. That way it can be soaking out some more additional cloudiness. You can see here in the bag how much is left over. So definitely, again, do not skip this step. So we came back inside, and it looks like we don't have any leaks, which is great news. I was kind of actually nervous about that. It's going to be tempting to dump all of your gravel in all at one time with that bucket, but I do recommend getting some kind of a smaller cup like I did here and just fill it up as you go. It really doesn't take that long, and then build it up here. This bag here gave me right at 2 inches of substrate, but even then, even with all the washing, you can see that it's still cloudy. It is going to dilute some once I add the additional water and turn on the filter, but you can just see how important it is to make sure you pre-wash all of your substrate. Next, I add just a little bit more water to get ready for my decor piece. I'm going to go ahead and slip it into place and kind of get it positioned in the gravel, since it is much larger than everything else that's going to go in there. I'm really just going to add some live plants after this. So it looks like it fits perfectly. It's going to be nice because I'm actually just going to put some white cloud minnows in here, so they don't need a ton of room. So now we're going to go ahead, that we've got our water all the way up to the fill line, and we're going to turn this thing on. And there you have it. This thing is rolling, and it is super quiet. I'm very impressed. That noise you heard initially was it pulling the water in and filling up the bay and priming itself, but you can see here it is just completely quiet. I don't like the splashing sound, so I definitely think this is going to be a great addition. It flows right into the top of the tank, and it's got an adjuster here. So I think this is going to be a great addition. I've also made this custom lid. This is something that you're going to want to think about, is what type of lid you're going to use. Not everybody's going to be able to make a custom lid. I cut this out of plexiglass, but I had holes for my lights and for air tubing. I used some PVC pipe and just cut little bezels for my lights. What I wound up doing was getting some under cabinet lights from Lowe's that you can control with a remote control. Do different brightness settings, timers, things like that. And I'm hoping these are going to be something that works very well for me long term on this aquarium. But assuming that you're not making a custom lid, you'll definitely want to plan out what type of lid you're going to use and what type of lighting that you're going to use, because you'll need both for an aquarium. And before we wrap this video up, I'm going to show you guys the chemicals that I'll be using. We've already used this one. This is API's Safe and Easy spray to clean the glass on the interior or exterior. Something else you're going to have to start your nitrogen cycle is this Quick Start. It says allows instant addition of fish, immediately starts the aquarium cycle, but that's actually misleading. You will need to put this in the tank once you get it full, but you're also going to want to add this by Fritz. It's the Fritzzyme, and it's an ammonia solution that allows the quick start to begin the nitrogen cycle. Kind of confusing, but you're going to need 2 parts for this. The next thing you're going to want to have are root tabs. That's if you're going to have live plants. This is going to provide nutrients for them. You can put it right in the gravel. And the next things you're going to need are a Stress Coat Plus. This is what makes the tap water safe when you're adding it to your tank, as well as the Stress Zyme. This helps keep the aquarium clean. You do the Stress Coat anytime you add water, Stress Zyme once a week to help with cleaning. And the last thing you need, I know it seems like a lot, but you're going to have a master test kit. This is going to allow you to test your pH, ammonia, nitrate, and nitrite levels to make sure that everything is safe for your fish before you put them in the tank. So there you have it. You've got your tank up and running. It's in the cycling process. The next video, I'm going to go over testing the pH, ammonia, and nitrites with that master test kit. I'll make sure that we've got everything ready for the fish. We'll go ahead and show you how I got these plants put in here. We're going to do some fish shopping, get them acclimated, and then get everything going. But in the meanwhile, I hope that you guys found some benefit out of this video. If you did, definitely click like and consider subscribing. You've got a lot of choices and decisions to make just to get yourself to this point. There's all kinds of little rabbit holes that you can go down, looking at different substrates, different decor, different kinds of fish, tank sizes, filters, all of that stuff. So definitely take some time to look into that, plan it out. You're going to enjoy it that much more in the future. But in the meanwhile, I do appreciate you guys tuning in. I can't wait to see you on the next video. Peace.